all about finding good whiskey, but also affordable whiskey. So we're all about having a nice, expensive glass, but we also want something that we can drink on a Tuesday and something that we can drink on a Wednesday and a Thursday and every day of the week without breaking the bank. So with that, we are going to try 4 different old-fashioned recipes. And we have a guest today. Whiskey Dick Josh is here, and he is going to kick us off with his old-fashioned. So he's already made his. So he's just going to tell us how he makes it, and then he's going to show it to us, and then give us.
I'm so happy we're throwing him in the deep end right away.
Let's go,
Whiskey Dick.
I can handle it. I earned that title.
Let's go.
And I will start this with saying,
Right? None.
I have been making Tyler the best old fashions that he's ever had for many, many years. So I will proudly claim my title that you've given me here.
They're good. They're good. Have I had many more that were better? Probably not. Best ever. I can't give him that much of an ego, you know?
That's just because you're a bigger dick than I am.
Tell me about your old fashioned.
So,
what you're drinking it out of? What's the process?
Yeah, so I often will prefer rye old fashioned to a bourbon, although I'll use either, whichever I have on hand. I just kind of like the spice of rye when I have that available. For tonight, because it's what I had around, I used Sazerac rye, which we can actually get in the liquor stores here now easily, and it's just a really solid mixing rye for cocktails.
Show us the bottle. Show us the bottle.
I will. The bottle is pretty much empty now,
And
but
because that would be, what do we call that?
This is the teacher's edition.
Yes.
The handle of Sazerac, which we were very excited to find at the liquor store. So to start the process, I like to use, and I will only use muddled sugar. I will not use a syrup in mine. It takes a little extra time, a little extra effort, but I think it's worth it. So I will, I like to use between 1/4 to 1/3 of a teaspoon of white sugar. And then I also throw in the same amount of brown sugar, a little variety, a little mixture there. So I'll put those in the glass. Mixture of bitters, 3 dashes Angostura, 3 dashes of Peychaud's. I just like to combine flavors and make things a little more interesting. It really soaks the sugars. Add a splash of water, muddle it into kind of a sugary, bittery paste. And I will take that and I'll pour that into my shaker, which already has ice in it. I'll add 2 to 3 ounces of whiskey, depending what kind of mood I'm in, and maybe a splash more. Stir it up.
This is where Tyler's proper.
This is where Tyler's going to laugh at me. I'm very particular. I will stir my old fashioned 40 times.
How many?
40. 40.
Not 39.
Every time. Not 39. 40 revolutions.
Shout not, count to 39.
So,
that seems a tad over the top anal.
That's fair.
The difference being the taste between 38 stirs and 40 stirs and 42 stirs. Please.
I will say that it's just a quirk that I developed and I stick with, and I like the outcome, so I go with it.
Okay.
And then I'll have a chilled glass. Usually put a whiskey cube in it because I like to keep it chilled. I will strain that mixture into the whiskey glass with a very high quality vegetable peeler, not some bullshit that Tyler's going to give me. Nice peel of orange. I like to rub the orange around the rim, get a little bit of an orange scent on it, throw it in, and then a lot of times I'll finish off with a spritz of Grand Marnier on the top, just to give a little more citrus notes to it. And that's it.
What's a little bit when it comes to Grand Marnier?
I literally have a spritz bottle, and so I will spritz to like a little
it's
tiny little
basically
spray
like
bottle.
you're like making an old fashioned next to a bottle of Grand Marnier.
It's so I've seen him do it.
Do you have one handy, Tyler?
Do you have a little spray bottle with you?
You know what? Give me a second. I'll go grab it.
All right, it's literally like a little. I can't make that sound again without it sounding really weird. But it's and I do have to say, especially since you can't hear me right now, it's fucking good.
Okay. Fair enough.
Well put together. I like the process. There's just a lot of product that goes into it.
All right. So it's literally a little spritz bottle. Mm-hmm. And so just over the glass, 2 spritzes, that's it. So it doesn't give it a whole ton of flavor, but you get a lot of scent from it.
Yeah.
Is that
And
before or after the 40 stirs?
that's after.
After.
The 40 stirs are before you pour it back into the glass.
Got it. Okay.
Once it's in the glass,
If
you get
if
the orange
do
peel.
it- If you do it before the 40 stirs, then you'll lose the whole scent.
That's exactly it.
You gotta have
And,
that.
and that's why he pre-made his, because his take forever to
It
make.
does. And I will say that I did not come up with this 100% on my own. I have adapted it over the years, but the foundation of it, I got this really cool book years ago. It's called Speakeasies from a bar in the West Village in New York called Employees Only. And I made theirs and then sort of adapted it to my own and kind of kept a lot of their notes, but sort of modified it to my own taste. So
You're such a dick.
yes, I am. Cheers.
That all sounds fantastic.
Well, cheers, buddy.
I'm looking forward to having you like make me one of these days because I'm not going to go through that freaking process, dude.
No, you'll see mine. Mine is way
That's a lot of work.
easier.
Yeah, but it does take time, but
Sure.
I enjoy the outcome. So to me, it's worth it. If I want a
That's
shortcut,
all about
I'll be Tyler and
outcomes. I
I'll
know
use
somebody
simple
used to say
syrup
that.
and be done.
Hey,
Oh.
don't give away my secrets, man. They're gonna see it. I'm gonna make mine live.
Right. Where are we? at now? Do we want
I
to
think
actually
we
make
let
one?
Tyler go for his. He's really
No,
excited.
I mean, all right. So I'll make mine live. Feel
So
free to
we're gonna go
make
from
fun
kind of
me while I
low
do it.
tech to high tech. So Tyler's got a little trick that in order to be able to see his.
Okay, I'm gonna screw this up because I literally spent like all week practicing this because Bar and I had to go and have an old fashioned multiple days over the last week. Shucks. So we're gonna go down and watch this, right?
Yep.
All right.
Ooh.
So to start off, I will be using 2 glasses, but I'm gonna be smoking the glass it's gonna end up in, and I'm specifically gonna be smoking first. So. And get a nice little smoke.
Don't burn your house down.
Trying to burn it. So it's going to go and sit in the glass first. I'm going to set that aside while that just goes and sits for a while. Now I'll be making in this one. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to start with some ice. I'm going to go with a solid 3 ounces of bourbon. And I will say I have been going and using 4 rows of small batch while tasting because I'm not sure you can tell via this camera, right? I have very little
Buffalo Trace?
left, but I do have Buffalo Trace going on here.
Mm.
There we go. So I'm going to do 3 ounces Buffalo Trace. So this is going to be a little interesting to see how this goes. All right. And yes, I am actually using Jigger here. Josh.
You are doing a measuring.
Oh, Josh.
Why'd you call me out? I measure mine.
Because Josh always gives me crap for saying, "Oh, that's only 2 ounces," and he says it's always 5. Why don't you guess?
That's because it is. We measured you one time.
And because I'm lazy, my sugar is simple syrup, the lazy man's. I use it for my coffee. I use it for everything. I just do
Wait a second. I like you like buying your simple sugar?
because it has a spray thing, it's a little squirt thing, and I use it for iced coffee. And it's shelf stable, so it doesn't have to be in the fridge.
You know, you can make it for like 30 cents and it
And then you
takes
have,
about
then you
5
have to put it in your
minutes.
fridge, and you tell me that all the time. All right, so
And you can keep it in your fridge and you can feed it to your hummingbirds. It's fantastic.
And you can make interesting simple syrups
not sure
for
if you get-
different
not sure if you-
flavored old
You can do
fashions.
stuff with it, right?
not sure if you guys can read that. So this is crude bitters. It's called Pooter, and it is about salt and smoke bitters. So I use it comes in a little dropper. I use actually 1 full dropper's worth of this. You can see.
That's a measurement I support, by the way.
Yep. And these bitters from this company, Crude, small batch bitters. They have different types. They're fantastic. Let's see, what was I doing? See, I knew I was going to screw all this up. So now, I will be going and doing the stirring.
Go, John. Oh,
Sorry, really loud. I'll move this over here so it's not as loud.
no, it's not the loud.
I
It's
love the whiskey business coaster.
the stirring thing. And
Why?
I'll tell you later.
All right, I diluted a little bit, stirring it, mixing it. That's my process. And now,
Shaken, not stirred.
what I'm going to do is bring this back over here. You want to see all this smoke come up? Now I will be adding a fresh ice cube, a whiskey ball. That's been sitting here while we went and prepped. So I brought a paper towel. I had a feeling something was going to leak. We will be, don't need the ice over there, so I will be straining this over.
I feel like we either need Julia Child or the Swedish Chef to be
And I spilled, you notice I spilled some because, well, I'm terrible like that.
John, it's going to be Julia Child.
It's out of my finger.
And I will be adding one maraschino,
Two
or
triggers of
fake
sugar,
maraschino
two
cherry because
turkeys.
I am lazy again and cheap. So I did that one like that, and then
What
I will
cherry
use
is that?
is the Mary Maraschino cherries, much cheaper than Luxardo bougie cherries.
Yeah, but the Losardo cherries are so good. But do you want to spend the same amount of money on a jar of cherries that you
Shit,
spend
didn't mean
on
to do
the
that.
bourbon that you're actually putting in your damn drink?
All right,
I will
well, I
say
didn't mean to do that. You guys all saw that though.
Crazy.
If you're gonna be making it,
I hear you, but I'm still cheap. So that's how I'm gonna make mine, and
Upside down. There you go.
Hey, you're back.
that's fucking good.
That's
It is. So I will say the pieces that I did on there on purpose, right? So smoke added a little smoke to the actual glass itself. Added to it. I know that that's a sweeter sugar. That's part of the reason why I added more smoke with the salt and smoke bitters to keep that down. I went for 3 ounces of the bourbon. Again, keep that solidness in there. The cherries just garnished basically, and a little spritz of the orange, and then the rimming of it, and came out good. It's probably still a little too sweet. You're right. If I had gone muddled sugar and I had done that, it would have been way less sweet.
Promise
I
you,
get
muddled
it.
sugar makes a big difference. It's a lot easier to control.
It is. I totally understand. I'm lazy. You know that. But
it is what it is.
the
I'm
Buffalo
surprised-
Trace is a
Do all-
fantastic bourbon for old fashioned. It is, especially when you can find it.
All of you use 3
I
ounces.
did 3 ounces.
Do you all use 3 ounces for your old
Yep.
fashioned?
Yeah, 3 ounces. But it again, when you can find it, and you can find MSRP at $27, it's like the best bourbon you can get for old fashioned. If you're going bourbon, if you're going rye, I think Josh is absolutely right about going Sazerac. By the way, because again, that's what 35-ish, give or take, something like that. For not for the teacher's edition, for the regular.
No, it's not. I don't even think it's that much. I think it's closer to 30.
Oh, is it?
But I will also say, if you can't find Buffalo for an old fashioned, Bullet makes a really good old fashioned. It's a really
It
good
does.
substitute.
So when I was practicing, I was going with Four Roses small batch. I am a Four Roses bitch.
You're a big fan of the small batch. I like it too, but like I don't know, you don't have to. You can use a lesser bourbon in an old fashioned. Basically, you know what I'm looking for is like something that when I drink it alone, something it's a little bit on the stiff side, and then you know what? That's what I'm going to throw in an old fashioned.
I was debating finally cracking this and using this,
Doing the large thing, I can understand that. Yeah.
but it's a barrel proof though.
Right. Well, so you can only have one unless you want to not
But-
be able to talk at the end of the night.
Yeah, the barrel proof at a solid 124 proof. I felt like that would knock me on my ass, but it would probably also take out the sweetness that we had.
yeah.
Right?
I think there's a strong argument that a high proof bourbon works well here, and we're gonna save that Ken for last because Ken's got a high proof.
All right.
But so Tyler, give us some flavor notes there. We're like, what are you tasting? Different than Josh's since you've had both.
So his is more complex for sure. I have had his. His is more complex.
I appreciate that compliment.
And way more time consuming. You you held up the speakeasy book. It's because you would go to a speakeasy bar to get something like that.
How long does it take me to make 3 or 4 of those when we're together?
Solid 15 minutes, at least.
How long does it take for you to make round 2?
Me or him?
Tyler?
Him? That's another solid 15 minutes. Then he finally gets a drink of his own.
So by the you finished one and you're working on your second, he's still trying to knock one out for himself.
Yeah, exactly.
What
Now,
can I say? My love language is getting other people drunk.
it's true. It's true. And mine, I would say mine is solid. It's if you want a mixed drink that you can sip on for a while and not have straight up liquor. That's mine's easy go to. I even made mine more complex by smoking and shit like that too. If you're less snobby and you really don't give two flying fucks, then you just go and do like quick. I can make mine in like less than like 3 minutes if I need to, but I can take out all the extra steps. I mean, the cherry and the orange zest and stuff like that, you can replace that with like an orange bitter, for instance, if you want the little sweetness. You don't need that stuff if you're not looking for complexity. That's my opinion. I'm sticking to it.
You're sticking to it.
All right.
All right, let's go for Larry.
So Larry's is a little bit different tonight. So Larry went through. Sorry, I'm not making it live. Larry went through trying to do a traditional old fashioned first tonight with smoking it as well, and I hated every minute of it. I don't know what happened with the orange. I'm not a fan of orange, so I had to kind of toss it and start over because there was nobody else in the house I could give it to that actually drinks whiskey. But it just wasn't drinkable. I don't know. Again, I don't do old fashions usually. I'm usually a Manhattan guy, so you're going to be very surprised when I tell you what this one now is, because I basically started over, and I have to admit too, I did switch to blends. My first one was Bullet. I decided that if I'm making the second one and I'm going to really enjoy it, I decided to use blends.
It's a high class bourbon right there.
It is?
Exactly.
It's an expensive bourbon for what it is, right?
It is. But I hate to say this, I have 3 bottles in the cabinet now, and I still need 2 more letters, so I need to use up some blends.
So we're all on a quest to get all the letters.
Exactly.
I'm missing
Tyler
an
and I
S.
have
I
all the
just need
You
the
just
S,
used
damn
up
it.
some plans, and you just didn't like invite me over because I'll take care of it for you.
Josh,
Whenever
you
we
have
get together
both
next, I'll
different
bring them.
types.
Wait, no, I'm sorry. It's the N. It's one of the N's.
Yeah, so
the
there's
N
2 N's,
apostrophe.
right? There's 2
It's
different.
one of the
N
N's that I'm in, not the S. Yeah.
Yeah, N colon, you're right, N colon. I got them all. I just need to drink the whiskey first, but I'm taking my time on that.
Yep. All right. So just to get back to this,
Sorry.
and then my wife threw out the idea of, rather than me smoking it this time, she had a small bottle of smoked maple syrup. So rather than sugar, I used the smoked maple syrup.
There you go.
Absolutely, it's fantastic.
I approve.
Because it's a smoked maple syrup. It's still, you can just barely hits the nose just enough. It's freaking great. But this is kind of more of a Manhattan now. The only thing that it's missing is the vermouth.
Right.
It's a Manhattan,
vermouth
but
and
with
you
no
make-
vermouth.
in a Manhattan.
And it's got maple in it. So
The smoked maple syrup is an interesting idea. I've done a maple old fashioned in the fall,
if you
but it
can
wasn't
find-
smoked.
if you can find smoked maple syrup, get some.
So what-
it is brilliant.
That's awesome. So what we were doing, and this is cheap as shit, and it kind of sucks. I think it's like Smuggler's Notch maple bourbon or something.
That stuff is not good.
I got it as a gift, and so I had to do something with it.
Oh, yeah. Well, yeah, you can't throw it away.
Maple old fashioned, totally drinkable.
That's basically when you get like a bourbon, or that you don't necessarily like. Then it's like, well, okay, what am I going to do now?
Experiment with it.
Exactly. That's what you always do with things like that.
That bourbon is undrinkable by itself, but if you put it with some maple syrup and some
That's
bitters
what I need
and
to do with this one.
So
I know.
Josh,
No,
I know you
don't,
like
Don.
to stick with your process, but absolutely drop the sugar for one. Find some smoked maple syrup and just add, and it's
So-
not much. It doesn't need much. It needs just a tiny little bit. And
at
it's-
Christmas I do drop my process with the sugar and I make a gingerbread simple and I do a gingerbread old fashioned.
there you go.
I've had those too. They're also very good.
I kind of like my whiskey to taste like whiskey for the most part. So
Well, it depends if you're
know.
never in a festive mood, so why would you want
Well,
gingerbread old fashioned?
I can't help myself. It is basically the way I was born and the way I've lived.
And Ken, that's
He
why I
was-
like Manhattan.
Ken was born a grumpy old man.
I was again. What's in the bio on the website? I was abandoned at birth and raised by wolves.
It's true.
Grumpy wolves.
Grumpy Wolves. Yeah, I think you need to adjust that.
All right.
All right, so Larry, what was the final result? Sorry.
Oh, this is brilliantly awesome.
So
but again,
give us all
it's
the
closer
ingredients
to
by,
a
as
Manhattan
best
than
as
it
you
is
can
an
by
old-fashioned.
your percentage.
I'm sorry, say again.
Say
Give
again.
us the ingredients as best as you can by amount.
So Yeah, that's probably 3 ounces of 3.5 ounces of the bourbon. No. It's I got 2 large ice cubes in there, so it's kind of displacing. Sure. We'll go with that. Let me think. So the maple syrup, maybe a half a teaspoon.
Okay.
So not much at all. Again, if I threw in a little vermouth, it would basically be Manhattan on the rocks. I mean, yeah, it would be Manhattan on the rocks at this point. But
All right.
Okay.
So we want to save Ken, our former bartender, for the last.
I want to go now because like I
You
haven't
empty?
had a drink and I'm just,
Okay. All right. So Ken, you
Why,
go
were,
next.
why didn't you have a side drink? This is how this works in
because
this
I
game.
was pulling all my stuff down here. I had a drink earlier,
yeah,
but
side drinks. I like that.
all my stuff. And
Side
Like a
drink.
sidecar.
in reality, like you should have started with me because my goal in life was just to create. Here's what an old fashioned is, in any average bar that you go to. And I didn't do anything special. I'm not doing any smoking of anything or any of that stuff. I will still try to tip this thing down
So
here.
for while he's doing that, for those of you in the Northeast,
that
if you're
failed.
familiar with Ryan's Deli, right outside of New York City, that's where Ken learned to make this old fashioned. And Ryan's Deli, even if you don't drink, is worth going to just for the food. It's
The
amazing.
food is absolutely awesome. It is without a doubt like the best, blocks and cream cheese on a bagel you ever have in your life, that sort of stuff. But its old place had a fairly significant bar, and I was like the weekend bartender there. And I bartended at other places before, but they were all like dive bars and stuff. When I bartended here, you had to make drinks exactly. They had a fantastic Bloody Mary recipe that I had to learn how to make, and they had an old fashioned recipe that Bernie Ryan taught me, and it was like, here's how you make an old fashioned fast and quickly and consistently. Firstly, sugar. Yeah, you don't put any liquid sugar in that damn thing. You put a sugar cube. You need a sugar cube. You know why? Because the sugar cube is for doing your bitters. And hey, bitters, shake them before you use them. Rule number 1. Don't just like open up your bitters. You got to shake them before you use them. And rule number 2, by the way, although nobody knows this, refrigerate after opening.
Really?
Seriously, refrigerate after opening.
Really?
I don't think I have ever put a bottle of bitters in the fridge.
I never put a
know.
bottle of bitters in the fridge.
Refrigerate after opening. And these
Wow,
are
that was like a real, like, you put some significant amount of bitters in
Education
there.
here. And I don't think I've ever shaken my bitters either.
shake the bitters. I swear to God, there's like a thing they go on the bottom. And bitters, these and again, I'm going with whiskey to Josh over here. The Angostura bitters are the only ones that matter. There are a lot of other bitters out here, but these are traditionally the best bitters going. And one of the only things that is imported into the United States from Trinidad and Tobago. Trinidad and Tobago is an awesome place.
Yeah.
Best beach I've ever been on in my life. And those people eat way too many goats. But above and beyond that, they make these bitters, and these bitters are awesome. The other thing that same company makes is rum, and apparently you can now get some of their rum in the United States. But at the time I was down there, you couldn't import the rum into the U.S. I couldn't leave the country with a bottle of the rum. It was fantastic rum, though. All right. So anyway, so now you have your bitter, and then you get your cherry. I would be using the Bing cherry, not the maraschino cherry.
Oh, bada bings are good though.
I like the Bing cherry, and they're close.
Bing's better than
to those
maraschino, definitely.
Lotero cherries that cost $20 for a freaking bottle, in flavor.
Oh
And
wait, quick pause. By the way, quick pause about the bougie Luxardo cherries. So apparently, I need to look up the name. I'll find it later. But so our good friend Bob actually said that in Michigan there's another type of bitters that they really go for over there. I will find the link while we're talking, and I'm going to go and suggest that one because I do need to bring that up as a point of conversation we need to try at some point.
All right, because I mean, again, I was going traditional. I've been kind of really into like the black walnut bitters lately, and it's a completely different flavor. Like you make the exact same drink and use those, and then use the black walnut bitters, and it's a completely different flavor. And I love those things as well. But anyway. The reason why you have to have
nice
this
muddling.
sugar, 'cause you gotta muddle that mofo in there. which
You
basically
got to muddle it.
I do
My
good
mother-
love.
my
I
mother
love
was
a
muddler.
good sugar muddling
muddle,
process.
and the sugar makes it actually muddle really well. That's why you use the sugar cube, so you know how much bitters to put in, and because it muddles really well. And then you get your bourbon, which in my case, I'm using Old Forester 100 because again, I
It's a
wasted the
solid
extra,
mixer.
I wasted the extra $2 to get the 100 proof,
Yeah,
which
that's high on our list of Tuesday night bourbons.
Mm.
a good.
I think, John, you said it. That is a solid choice for any type of cocktail.
Yeah.
Well,
Well, it's
a decent John pour. And
Oh yeah,
I love how you
that's not
measured
3
it too.
ounces.
Yeah, so you don't measure that at all. You just go by eye.
yeah, I just go by. I've been doing this.
It's
for-
called a John pour. That's what he does.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So-
I'm sure
so then
that's a
you-
solid 2 ounces.
You put the ice cubes in it, and then Tyler, when you stir your drink, it's like this. It's not stirring up from the bottom. You're not trying to like do anything except make it a little cold, right? You're not doing anything. Wheeling up from the bottom like you're stirring chocolate milk. No, don't do that. It's a stir from the top.
I did put mine in another glass.
Yes, and then yeah, because this is what I found as far as doing an orange peel. The good thing about the orange peel is when you get it out, the whole idea behind the orange peel, because it smells so orangey as soon as you do it, as little white stuff as humanly possible. That's kind of the goal. Because when you dig into the white stuff, every bit of white stuff you get makes it more bitter. And all you're trying to do is unleash like a smell. It doesn't add flavor into this thing.
You
at
trying
all.
to unleash it?
You're just trying to unleash some smell, and you put that in. And that's a classic old fashioned. And you can do that thing in.
Wait, you don't give it a
30
rim
seconds.
job?
Hmm?
You don't give a rim job with the orange peel?
I don't bother.
Right.
Because there's that orange peel doesn't provide any flavor whatsoever. And no, I'm not going to say rim job. It doesn't provide any flavor whatsoever. What it provides is basically a smell.
Alright.
And that's all you're trying to get out of it. And I defy you to say that this is not a decent old fashioned.
Hey, so I'd prefer you to have a whiskey cube in there. That's my only thing.
I did not want to go with the whiskey cube because in a bar situation, anything happening, in the bars that I worked at, it's going to be cube. So
That's fair.
I just full on went traditional, what I would normally do.
So
Otherwise, yeah, I would have the clear whiskey ball and put that in there, and it would have gone that way. I was literally trying to go traditional.
So in fairness, I will say that. So Josh and I were at a concert on last Wednesday, and we went. It was over at TD Garden, and we went to the bar, wherever that was, the food court area, right below TD Garden,
Yeah.
and we went over to the bar area, and I'm like, man, they mainly have beers and stuff like that. I'm like, but I do see they have bottles of whiskey over there. I saw some Buffalo Trace over there, so we were there with another friend too. And Josh was driving. He's like, I'm just gonna do a beer. I'm like, great. So I ordered 2 old fashions. I asked for Buffalo Trace. I'm like, I'm rolling dice on this. And Josh tried to sip mine. And Josh, would you agree? For a very, very busy food court area, because Celtics were playing and there was a concert going on in the same area, that came out decently.
They popped one up.
It was good. She took her time to make them. My biggest knock on it was, and I get it.
Yeah.
Time, busy bar. She
Yeah.
used simple syrup.
No, mine was that she put a full piece of orange slice. She muddled it.
Oh, I
in.
don't remember that, but I didn't have it. So
Yeah,
Some
it-
people
she,
do that. They'll cut up like an orange slice and throw it in there and then mash
Yeah.
the shit out of that thing along with the cherry. I'm totally against that.
she didn't mash
Actually,
it.
I don't think she muddled it. I think she
You just put it in.
It was just a garnish, I
it was
think.
the garnish. That's what it was. Yeah.
That's you lose style points on that, but it's a TD Garden during an event. Come on.
Yeah, this was
For a food court
was 32
bar
ounces,
at a
so-
Celtics game,
this was
it was high
fast,
quality.
and
That's a
it
rock
came out,
solid try. I got to say, that's a rock solid try.
yeah, it came out quite good. I mean, our other friend had no problem with it either.
I think for my beer and the 2 old fashions, it was like $50, which I actually thought was pretty reasonable.
Yeah, that's very for the
it's-
mixed drink in that area.
you've
You're a
come-
venue.
It's what you've come to think is going to happen. $50, 3 drinks. Yeah, sure. No problem.
But especially in that,
Sadly,
like,
but true.
if you had a good bar, I mean, $20 for a well-made drink, sure. If you're at a sports venue where you're gonna get charged $20 for a beer anyway,
Yeah.
I mean, that was I thought really good.
I remember being at a Patriots game in the middle of the winter one time, and I gave a friend of Steve's like $20 to go buy a beer. He came back and he said, by price per ounce, this is the best beer you will ever drink in your life. Like before you hand it to me.
Yeah, we were at in the with the New Hampshire Bake Pavilion last summer for the
jeez,
Goo Dolls
yeah.
Dashboard Confessional concert, and yeah, I think we each got a beer. It was like a 20-ounce beer.
It was like a 19-ounce Sierra Nevada
Yes,
for $24.
it was not a good beer. It was like $20. Thank God we pre-gamed in the parking lot. Jesus.
Oh no, that's
But
for these things.
yeah. All right, Steve,
Steve,
Yeah,
you are.
I think I'm the last one. So I am not very fancy. I don't make old fashions at home. I rarely have them unless I'm getting on an airplane.
That's a proper time to have an old fashioned, by the way.
I prefer a Bloody Mary in
But-
Baltimore when our flight
so
gets
I
canceled.
excellent time of
I
day.
want to do something more towards Ireland.
Yeah.
So I chose to do a smoky old fashioned, and that starts with, I'm going to go with, I pulled out some Lefroy
Lefroy.
because this is like your entry level Isla Scotch.
Wait, John,
So it's
John,
not
hey,
bourbon at
pause
all.
a second.
It's a
John,
good
did you say it's
Scotch.
called Lefroy?
Lefroy.
Freak.
Lefroy.
All right.
Right.
I actually did not know how to pronounce that one, so. All right.
And the bottle came in this. It's called a boot bucket.
Nice.
I'm not sure why, but maybe it's if you have
Maybe
to
you can
boot,
guess why.
you got a bucket.
Yeah.
I'd
So
like
So you
that,
can
though.
carry it while hiking.
It says you can put your
Your
painter
weed in there.
materials in there, all kinds of stuff.
Weed in
But I don't know about
Did-
that.
A lot of weed.
Was it just the Lefroy 10, or is it something specific?
Mine is just the basic level Lefroy 10. It's called the original for them, so
Okay.
that's what that is.
But that's
And the
still pretty smoky and peaty, so that's still.
It is. I mean, the
Yeah.
whole basis of it is it's very, very briny. It has a fair amount of that smoke going on for it. So I think it's not the best of the Isla Scotches. It's just a good entry level one. So I thought it kind of lined up with Buffalo Trace or something like that if it's a bourbon. So the whole recipe is you basically take 1 teaspoon. I'm using, this is what they told me to grab, agave syrup.
Who's they?
I went out and found a recipe that was well deserved, well liked by a bunch of people who did these smoky old fashions.
The internet taught Steve how to make an old fashioned.
Agave belongs in a margarita. I'm not sure it has a place in an old fashioned.
I bet it's nice and sweet.
All right, so one of the problems is that the Lefroy itself has not got a lot of sweetness there. It's just like a tiny little bit. So really, when you put it into an old fashioned, you're adding a lot of sweetness with it. And then the next thing you use is the orange bitters.
Ooh, that's
And-
light.
With the orange bitters, that's good.
Yes, it
That's
really.
a relatively new product from our friends at the Angostura company. They just started that like last year.
No,
I had no
way
idea. I
more-
thought they
it's
only
way
made the
earlier
classic
than that.
bitters.
No,
I've had those for.
no,
Nice, John.
it's been like the last couple of years. Because in my studies before this thing, I looked it up and then just kind of read through their filing with their stockholders, and they went through some of the stuff that they've
Okay.
done recently.
All right, so that's fair. So I have the Fee Brothers orange bitters that I use.
Fee Brothers are far inferior.
They really are. But again, sorry, Steve, 1 second.
Oh, go ahead.
If you don't want to do the whole orange slice, again, you're trying to be lazy, you're trying to go fast. Like a couple dashes of Fee Brothers orange bitters gives it.
They're fine. I did that, and they have like the blood orange bitters as
I have
well.
not had those.
It's all right. It's again when you're doing it quick,
Yep.
it's
All
fine.
right, Steve. Sorry.
Actually, sorry, we
Just to
digress.
Just to finish the recipe, so I've been using 4 dashes of the orange bitters. I found that 3 wasn't quite enough for my liking.
They were pretty low alcohol, if I remember correctly.
You also put in
47%.
an orange slice as
No,
well. You
the
do
orange,
give
I don't think so.
do give it that rim
Oh.
job because you got to do that,
And rim job.
and then you just toss
Steve's
it
our
in,
rim job expert.
and I think you just throw it in there. You take the ice cube with your finger and you mix it up. Stop all this nonsense.
I was doing bartender stuff, and if I'm mixing up stuff with my finger in a bar, I'm kind of out of a job.
I think the health department might come after me for
Especially-
that.
Just
They can
saying,
do that.
kind of out of a job, dude. At home, yeah.
Yeah, I think it depends on who's there that you're serving. Yeah,
Yeah.
and how many drinks you've had.
Mhm.
So, all right. So Steve,
So-
what was your final verdict?
I love mine. I will say the only difference between what you guys were doing is all of mine were 2 ounces, but that's all right. I made up for it by having 2 of them. But you know, it is what it is. I thought the recipe worked with the 2 ounces, so I'm not going to probably change that.
No. I like the idea. If you want to do a smoky old fashioned, just have your alcohol be a little smoky. It's
a good idea.
That's not a bad idea.
Going through that process of smoking stuff. Just give me smoky alcohol.
I never would have thought to use one of the Islas for an old fashioned. So
Well,
my
maybe
next
it's-
one, I'm gonna grab a bottle
I was
of
gonna
Florida
say,
out of the cabinet.
Larry, you're a huge
I'm
alcohol guy.
absolutely doing that.
I just never considered
You
using
don't have to
scotch
take
in
any
an old
extra
fashioned.
steps.
I mean,
It's
really any
absolutely
whiskey,
brilliant.
right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. All right. So someone should have taken the challenge of doing an Irish whiskey old fashioned.
No.
All right. Then Japanese whiskey old fashioned.
That's
Okay, now
entirely
you're just getting crazy. Crazy.
I mean, I have some of both. I just don't have the other stuff. I can smoke a Japanese whiskey, or I can smoke an Irish whiskey, but I couldn't make it old fashioned right now.
That's fair.
But-
That's fair.
You know,
All right.
So I think we're done. I
Are
think we're
we
done.
ready?
So I want to thank everybody for bringing their A game, and I want to
I went to
thank
side, I
Josh
went to
for
side
joining
drink
us
now, by the
as
way.
an honorary member of Whiskey Business Podcast. And
Thanks,
with
Whiskey Dick.
that,
Anytime.
we want to hear from you. Send an email to info@whiskeybusiness.us and let us know what your favorite old-fashioned recipe is and what drink you would like to see us make next. So with that, Whiskey Business out.
See ya.